Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special Friday Night Live broadcasting to you from the deep southwest of Limerick in Ireland once again. But this is a special episode, one that I have been looking forward to for a long, long time. We've been planning it and planning it for months now, really. To be honest, it's an idea I've had for quite some time. And it was, of course, to get a chance to broadcast into South Lebanon, where our troops are currently based, and to get a chance to have a chat with a selection of troops that are in the camp right now on site about life in South Lebanon as it is right now and life at home. And it's my honor and privilege to welcome some guests who are all based in Limerick and are members of the 12th Infantry Battalion here in Limerick, but are all in Lebanon right now. Corporal Andrew Gleason, Corporal Daniel Clogan, Corporal Lee Nihal, Private Kevin O'Callaghan, and of course, we have Battalion Sergeant Major Stan Hurley. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to the lads. But before we do that, we are going to do a little bit of a promotional video for the Defence Forces. Just in case anybody thinks that they might be interested in joining the army, or it might be something that you would be interested in doing yourself. So I'm going to run this little video for you first, and then we'll go straight to South Lebanon to chat to everybody. So welcome to everybody to Friday Night Live, New Year's Eve. Here we go, show number one.
I don't know why they go down on here's then all the doctors going off, you know. The line was it? And put the in.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Brilliant. Here we go. There's always a little technical glitch, always something small, lads. Don't worry about it. It's the usual. The internet, the wonderful world of the internet. It is an honor and privilege to have you here on Friday Night Live in Limerick, especially that we're all of the same county. Even though I am a Kildare man myself, I have to admit. Sorry about that, lads. I was brought down here kicking and screaming, but I'm here and I love it, and it's great crack. I'd like to welcome you all to Friday Night Live, and I'd like to say it's a wonderful privilege for me to be able to talk to you on site there, and thanks for your time, because I know it's not easy. You're quite busy and you've a lot to be doing. So I'm going to get straight into it. In the room, we have Corporal Andrew Gleason. So Andrew, I'm going to have a quick chat with you first.
Yeah.
Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself back home here. What was life like before you left for Lebanon?
Well, before I left for Lebanon, I've a wife at home. I have 2 kids. Basically, this is my third deployment out here. I'm the battalion commander's driver, so anywhere he needs to go, I basically bring him. So I'd known about my position maybe a few months before it, so I knew how big of a job it was. I've been previously over here as a section commander in charge of a section within a platoon, so I had a good bit of experience before I came out.
Yeah. So to you, I suppose once you've had a couple of trips out, it's become sort of familiar enough for you, and not a huge change, I suppose. Not a huge change, but I know back home. Tell us, what part of Limerick are you from, Andrew?
I'm originally from Carradavin.
Ah, yes, Carradavin.
I currently reside in Meelick, County Clare.
Oh, that could be a sore subject.
Yeah,
Say
possibly.
not. Yeah, you're like me. You were dragged across a few borderlines, but look, we won't worry about that.
Yeah,
And tell me this. So third trip there, and I have here I'm just looking at different things here. But your fifth trip all in. So
yeah,
you're no
fifth.
stranger, yeah, to been overseas. What
Yeah.
is do you find? And I wanted to ask all of you this, but do you find this trip different with the COVID restrictions, obviously, and all that? Is it very different to all the other trips that you've had?
Well, being honest with you, I was in Syria in 2019 with the 12th Battalion as well.
Yeah.
And we left just at the start of the lockdown. So when we came back, Ireland was still within the lockdown. And
Okay.
then obviously things kind of picked up a small bit. And then when obviously for deployment here, then things were kind of starting to kick up again. So
Yeah.
it kind of really changed for me in a sense, with
Yeah.
restrictions. But it's from other trips, it is different. Like it's just obviously you're not able to interact with the locals like we normally would. But that's just everyday life,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Something you
Yeah.
can't get used to.
Yeah, and of course as well with the role of driver and driving and stuff like that as well. I suppose you kind of have to probably stay within the vehicle a lot more than you in past trips
Yeah,
where you could kind of.
yeah, you would. Like obviously, when we're out here, we try to interact with the locals. We try to spend money to put back into our economy. And
Yeah.
obviously with COVID, we can't do that. We can't stop off. We can't build our
Yeah.
relationships with the locals. So
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it does affect everything, doesn't it? It affects the
it
whole.
really does.
Yeah,
It really does.
the things that surround the trip, because there is more to it, I suppose, than just being there as soldiers and just being in camp. There is more to it, isn't there, with the locals?
Like, yeah. Like
Yeah.
the likes, there's orphanages outside, and for the likes of Christmas there, we went out. The boss went out. He gave presents to the kids and stuff like that. So it's just it's the small things that don't really get to be seen, that help them an awful lot more.
Yeah, it's a side. It's definitely a side to it that we don't hear that much about back here, and I think I'm glad that you touched on that. There's a lot of things that you do outside of the camp for the locality and for everybody surrounding you, and I think it has almost created a lovely economy there, hasn't it, in the surrounding areas to where you are because of what you do outside.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like that's like the local villages around our camp. Obviously, we would have our relationships would be best. But it's just a pity with COVID, we're not able to stop and keep up the relationships with the local villages.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, listen, tell me this. I have to ask you about because rugby is so big here in Limerick and in Munster and that. But who would you be affiliated with club wise in Limerick?
I would have played rugby with UL Bohemians up to underage and senior level, but in my latter years I've played junior rugby with St. Mary's, so I'd have strong affiliation with both of them.
Good connections, brilliant. The weightlifting now, I'm interested in this because I'm trying to think. Right, at home it's handy. You've the gym and the whole lot. Do you have a gym on site out there? Is there anywhere you can keep up with it?
We have it set up in kind of a AstroTurf area, and it's covered over, so it means there's clear ventilation coming through. There's everything there, like the squat racks, bench presses, leg press, you name it. So I can't fault it now.
So you can continue to train and continue everything as normal.
Yeah.
Excellent. The hurling and the soccer. There's a couple of the hurling here, because I was talking to Stan about it earlier on, but the hurling here is it's the golden era here in Limerick. With regards to interest in it yourself, like would you have an interest in it on a club level as well?
Well, I would have played. Well, I never would have played hurling. I only would have ever played Gaelic football with the Piercy. But obviously, I'd be very fond of it now. In fairness, and obviously with Limerick after coming up in the last few years, it's hard not to get on the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a golden era. Come here, tell me this, Andrew. I'm going to ask you before we do move on to give a shout out to everyone and anyone at home that you wish to in your own time.
I'd just like to say hi to my wife Sarah and my two kids, Oliver and Harry. Hope you had a great Christmas and you have a safe New Year. And to all my family and friends, have a good 2022, and I'll see you in a few months.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Andrew. Appreciate it. Corporal Daniel Clogan, I think it is. If I got that wrong, Daniel, you'll tell me. I think I got it right. On the ball. Good. Thank God. Tell me this. This is your third trip. Is it your third trip to Lebanon, or have you been in different locations?
Second trip to Lebanon. The last one was the 108, so that would have been back in 2013 or in 2014. So that's my second one here now in a different role, a more enjoyable role, if I do say so myself, more interactive in the camp, you know.
Can you give us a little background into your role as to what you're doing, Daniel? What's your day-to-day role there?
Yeah, so basically I'm RLS, so that just stands for Real Life Support. I'm working in Battalion HQ, working with the BQ up in the top hill, as we call it. So it's giving out supplies to whatever's needed to keep the camp running. And there's a lot involved with it, like you're dealing with weapons and you're dealing with bog roll, you know what I mean? But there's so much involved, but it's very interesting. It's like my last trip outside, we were doing patrols and all that. Now I like all that crack, but I prefer the role that I'm in now because I'm getting to see how the inner workings go on within the camp, and it's terribly enjoyable. Like I think if I'm coming out here again, it'll be in a similar role. I'd be hoping to get which would entice me to come in. But,
something new, something different,
100%, 100%.
Your day-to-day role there as well, and I know I was talking to Andrew about it as well. Like you're of a slightly different background when it comes to your interests and hobbies, but I like it: fishing, hunting, and shooting. Now I know that it's tricky. There are three tricky things to continue when you're away. How do you find say time? What would you like to do in your downtime when you get a chance?
As when I go back home,
out when you're out there now, where you are now.
Oh, yeah, a bit of training. Get into a bit of training. Try to get a bit of nice scrub into you, and kind of focus on the next day and see how good I can make the next day. So you're working day to day basically, preparing for the following day, and that's all that takes up most of your time.
Yeah.
We do have a bit of time. It's you're going gymming in the facilities that Andrew was speaking about, and we have actually everything we need out here. So
and the AstroTurf as well. I suppose you can have the soccer on it, the Gaelic on it, whatever you want. Which is great.
The place there recently now, there was more cardiovascular area, so they've cleared that. So we're looking to get up a bit of soccer up and running.
Brilliant.
But we obviously we have to be conscious of the COVID and the time that we're in. Even within the team Andrew was speaking about, everything is kind of within the diameters
restrictions.
Exactly.
What is give us a little bit in your background in Limerick. What part of Limerick are you from, Daniel?
Originally I'm from a place called South Hill.
Know it well.
A grand old spot.
It is.
Nice area, lovely people come. A lot of lovely people come from that side. But kind of moved out there when I was about 17. Joined the Defence Forces. Joined initially up in Kilkenny, and then moved back to Limerick. Then about 10 years ago, and I'm living in an area now called Scart. Lovely spot. Just on a river where we can just sneak down the back and do a bit of fishing,
Lovely. Perfect. Ideal, an ideal spot for yourself there now for the fishing. Absolutely. Here in Castleconnell, of course, we're on the banks of the Shannon, and it's a very, very popular pastime, the fishing. All along, you see all the little jetties down along. It's lovely to see, and see them getting used. It's a great pastime, great hobby. I know a few of the lads here now that will be big into it, and it'll be a daily thing for them. It's a good thing. Is there anybody? Well, there is, of course, at home that you would like to. Everybody and anybody now. By the way, Daniel, do you want to give a shout out to and say hello to?
Look, everyone that knows me, but especially to my partner Shanice, my 3 kids, Lily, Willow, and baby Daniel. They're actually in my father's house at the moment because we're in the middle of a renovation. They were meant to be in the house before the Christmas, but we came under serious delays with a window supply. Hostler windows, absolutely. Jesus, the pressure that was under. It was meant to take 6 weeks. It took them 16 weeks, and they're still not finished, by the way. They've done, But
Well,
yeah,
thank God the Costello windows are not sponsoring this program.
yeah, I know, yeah, exactly. But sure, look, and any bit of knowledge is good knowledge for them, I suppose, isn't it?
It's good.
But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
so after this,
Yeah.
and everyone else that knows me. And oh yeah, I'd like to
Brilliant.
give a shout out as well
Yep.
to good Paddy the Dub. He's over here
Yeah.
with us, and he asked me to give him a shout out, so I said I would.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Paddy the Dub. I love it.
The
I
Dub,
love it.
yeah.
Well, listen, I wish you all the best, and I'm delighted that you're getting the chance to say hello and everybody be watching in, and this will be on replay as well. We make sure they all get a version of this and stuff. Thank you so much. I'm going to move to Lee Nihil across the table there. Lee, Lee, give us a little bit of a background on your day-to-day role there in South Lebanon, please.
Yeah, hi Dave. Yeah, my role over here is section commander of a section. So I have a group of buddies of 7 soldiers underneath me, and my main role, I suppose, is their welfare. So I look after them. So if they come to a problem, it's a chain of command. They come to me, I pass it up the line, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And then on top of that, then as well, my main role, I suppose, is performing patrols of our area of operations. So that could be done a few times a week. And once we come back from the patrol, then it's my job then to log a report, which goes to UN headquarters in New York. And through those reports and the detail within those reports, they're able to draw a picture of the situation here in South Lebanon.
Okay. So there's a lot of responsibility there in that, isn't there, on a day-to-day basis? You're constantly, you got to be switched on there if you're looking after a group of lads as well. And by the way, I should mention lads and ladies, by the way, because I know Stan earlier on we were speaking, there is a very diverse, great mix of people from all backgrounds and in the camp as well. What part of Limerick are you from, Lee?
I grew up in an area called Castle View.
You're joking. I'll tell you, you're not too far away from where we're broadcasting right now.
Away in Glenbrook or something like that, yeah?
Well, no, I'm Castleconnell, but you're only up the road. What was your life? I suppose, what was life like before you left and departed? What was your day-to-day life like there?
Through COVID, my fiance was working at home, so I'd go to work, I'd come back, she'd be there. We bought a dog during lockdown, so my favorite pastime there since we got her was to walk the dog there in the evening, come back. I'm an avid golfer, so in any of my spare time I was outside in Ballinedy playing golf.
I was going to, do you know what? I was going to ask you, were you a member of Ballinedy? Because the area you're from, like myself here, everybody seems to go to Ballinedy. It's a great club. It's a really great club. Great driving range out there. Great facilities. Would you get out there a few times a week when you're at home?
I probably shouldn't say exactly how many times I get out there.
That's fair enough.
But, yeah, I do. I get out there quite a bit. Yeah, I'm a member there for the last 5 years. You know, it went to the wall there in the recession in 2018, and then
that's right.
The members bought it back, and then they've done phenomenal work over the last 5 to 6 years. You know.
Yeah, I remember that actually, and we were all a bit panicky about it here because some of my own family members go out there all the time, and we were hoping it was going to stay open, that it wasn't going to totally fold. So thank God. And the hurling as well. Obviously, I mean, the hurling is for everybody in Limerick at the minute because we're in the golden era. Would you have an affiliation to any of the local clubs or?
You would grown up in Castle View. I played all my life with a Clon GA club.
Yeah.
So, great memories there playing as a grown up. Played at senior level. I know they're not doing so well at the moment, but there's a great committee there. There's great potential there. The underage system that they have there in Clon. My own child is playing there at the moment.
Yeah.
And the volunteers they have up there are brilliant. They're second to none, you know.
Yeah, it's super. It is super. The whole county, to be honest with you, the whole county is absolutely lit at the minute with junior hurlers because of the team that we have and because of the success and everything at the minute. In a hand GA here where I am, it's surreal to see the amount of kids that are getting interested in it, like all around the county. It's brilliant. Tell me this, on a day-to-day basis there, with the restrictions and everything like that, have you, and I know I've asked this already, but do you find it this trip different to others in regards to restrictions and having to kind of keep an eye, as you're looking after a group of people there, do you have to constantly be looking after the restriction end of things as well?
Yeah, I do, because obviously we're wearing masks at the moment. That was something in 2018 that we didn't have to do. Also, there was a period before we flew out here that we had to quarantine in the Glen of Mel in County Wicklow.
Yeah.
So I suppose I saw firsthand exactly as to why that would happen, because during that quarantine period, I unfortunately caught COVID, and I had to then leave the group and isolate in Hurley camp, and I flew out 2 weeks after everybody. But in the group of over 150 odd people that were in the Glen of Mel, only 4 people came down with COVID at that time. So it actually showed the measures that were put in place actually protected everybody else. I know 4 came down, but there was potential there for it to spread throughout.
Could have been worse.
The trip. So, I mean, the measures, they work when they're implemented properly, you know.
They do, absolutely. I mean, it's got a potential, doesn't it, all the time to be disastrous if it's not kind of kept an eye on and not watched and kind of followed closely. When you get out there on the other side, then what happens? Do you have to continue to quarantine, or once you've your quarantine done here at home, is that enough, or do you have to kind of do a couple of days when you get there as well?
No, so you have to isolate again in quarantine for a further 14 days once you get into camp. I suppose the package through of, you know, when you're getting onto an airplane and there's civilians working on the airplane, there's civilians in the airport, I suppose they can't take a chance because we live in such close quarters and proximity with one another that if no outbreak was to happen within the camp, it could spread like wildfire. So it's always just and that's why there's extra measures in place as opposed to what you would see in civilian life, I suppose.
Yeah, when you look at it, I mean, it's amazing the difference it does make, because you're looking at the guts of maybe 3 to 4 weeks sort of isolating before you get into your role and get into the day-to-day workings of the camp there. It does make a huge difference, doesn't it, to a normal trip as such, when you can kind of just get on the plane, land, and get straight into it. Tell me this, is there everyone and anyone, and I mean everyone and anyone, that you'd like to say hello to back here in Limerick? Go ahead in your own time.
Yeah, so I'd like to say Happy New Year there to my fiance, Cora. We're getting married there next year, actually. We've had to postpone twice due to COVID, so hopefully third time lucky. My son, Dylan, he'll be 10 in a few weeks' time. And everybody that knows me, basically, my family are actually watching this podcast as we speak. They're all having a kind of a get-together. So to all those watching there, I wish you a very Happy New Year.
Welcome to everybody watching. That's great. And listen, best of luck with the wedding coming up and all that. And I know it's very tough, isn't it? It's something it's been a real tough subject here with functions and stuff like that, because the hotels, one week you can have a wedding with 100 people, the next week it's gone back to 50. It's just a tough thing to try and face into. You just have to kind of hope for the best when it comes around. Thanks very much. Appreciate that, Lee. Kevin, last but not least, Kevin O'Callaghan. Kevin, can you give us a little bit of a background into your day-to-day role in South Lebanon at the minute?
Yeah, I work in the Battalion HQ stores with Denny up in the Top Hill. So basically, you know, that's supplying the camp with suppose with the stuff that needs around the camp, you know.
Yeah. And that's when you say the Top Hill, what's the Top Hill? Is that kind of is that the supplies area in the camp?
The Top Hill is where Technical Operations Centre is up in Top Hill, and there are different offices up there between us. Yeah. So our team is up there, and that's where our stores is. So we work out of that stuff.
Okay, brilliant. And your 4th trip overseas, is it the 4th trip into Lebanon, or have you been in different areas as well?
And second time to Lebanon.
Second time. And again, I know I've said it to the lads, but obviously you must be finding this very different to your first trip, or was your first trip in recent years?
Oh yeah, totally different from my first trip, because my previous trips I was a rifleman, so this time I'm in stores, so a different job.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Do you find the quarantine in the stores is something that you really have to be, like, you have to clamp down on everything that's coming and going there as well? You have to kind of watch very, very closely what's coming in and going out all the time.
With the stuff, with the products that come in, like
the
stores.
Just have to take precautions basically when we're getting supplies in, mask up, gloves up, social distancing, everything like that as well.
Yeah. Because you can imagine, like, it's a case of, I suppose you kind of have to sanitize things too, don't you? You have to kind of watch every product that's coming in and out when you're operating in a camp like yourselves at the minute. Kevin, is there everyone and anyone, as I've said, at home, anyone that you'd like to say hello to and wish a Happy New Year to while we have you?
like I say, Happy New Year to all my family, and especially my wife Claire and Amelia, my daughter. So Happy New Year. Everyone knows me. Thanks.
Brilliant, brilliant. What part of Limerick are you from, Kevin? Do you mind me asking?
I was originally from Irish, but I live in Clonard now, County Clare.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's 2 now that are after crossing the border, lads, into County Clare. It seems to happen a lot. I've met a lot of lads down here in Limerick that have ended up going across, towards Ardna Crusha. A few friends of mine in different places like that. It seems to happen. I don't know. We'll have to have a look, do a bit of a survey on that. I don't know what's going on. Thanks a million, lads. Thank you so much. Last but not least, and of course, I'm delighted to have Battalion Sergeant Major Stan Hurley with us here. Stan, it's a pleasure to have you, and thanks very much for sitting in on the broadcast. It was a lovely surprise when I heard you were going to do it, to be honest, because I thought this is great that we have such a broad spectrum of you there that we can talk about different things. If I could ask, I suppose, and I know you've got a lot to be doing, but your general role there, Stan, what would it involve on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I'm as you said, I'm the Battalion Sergeant Major. So really, at this stage of my career, I'm here primarily as an advisor or as a mentor to the leadership group within the camp, and I'm at everyone's disposal really. But I have a responsibility for morale, discipline, keeping these guys in check.
As best you can.
That's why we declare fellas sitting on the outside.
Very well positioned. Very well positioned.
They bring these seasoned fellas every so often just to make sure everything is kept above board and the ship keeps flowing away. You know.
Yeah, important. But it is, you make it sound very easy there the way you're saying it. It's not. I'm sure it's a thing that you're constantly probably working on into the night as well as during the day with paperwork and keeping up to scratch with everything.
And not so much to the training that the lads get. We form up 2 months before we come. So we're formed up for 2 months before we come. And all these lads sitting here are all members of the 12th Battalion and have a lot of years service between them. So they all help each other and the younger lads as we go. We just over 100 people here for their first time. So obviously the main focus of the training is on bringing those people up to speed on what they can expect to face when they arrive in this mission area or any mission area for that matter. So all of the NCOs here, they help out in that. As Lee said, Lee has his section. So he's given different challenges throughout the training to meet and to get his troops through. So it's very much a team effort. I mean, everything is built from the section commander up to the platoon sergeant, to the company sergeant. We have about 100 people, and then up to me. And this camp is over 500 soldiers, And obviously we have the officer ranks. We have a platoon commanders at lieutenant level over 30 people. The company commander over 100 people, and the battalion commander then is he's the top man over all the troops here, And on this location we have, as I said to you earlier, you see the flags here in the background. We have representatives from Poland here, Hungary, Malta. Who did I leave out?
We went through the flags, earlier on. Who else was in there? There was a couple of different.
The Lebanese flag there as well, of course. The
Lebanese flag. So, it's really diverse now, Stan, isn't it? It's very diverse camp, and getting more and more so as time goes on. Because I know when we spoke earlier on, when we were sound checking, and it's important to mention as well that there are a lot of female serving troops there as well, and that is it's becoming obviously more and more popular as a job and a role for the females to get interested in. How many female troops have you got there on site now?
We have 28 female Irish soldiers here.
Brilliant.
And they're all daughters, and we have I think there's about 15 Polish ladies here as well. Of all ages and of all different backgrounds, different parts of the country. From young. They're all young as far as I'm concerned because they're the oldest. They're all very experienced. Of course, some of those ladies are of the younger category up here for the first time, But some of them as well are very experienced. You know what I mean? So it all helps. It all helps. That's the army is the ultimate team.
How could you give us a bit of a sort of an insight into how how it came about, say that yourselves, and then you have Polish members and Hungarian members and Maltese members. How did that come about? Is that something that came about long before now, that was gradually growing all the time?
Well, the last time I was here was about 2 years ago with the 113th Infantry Battalion, and that was an Irish and complete Irish battalion. But every so often Ireland will agree partnerships with countries that are like-minded and that we can, as we say, interoperate with quite easily. So we previously, prior to that, were here partnered with the Finns. So Ireland and Finland would agree to put soldiers together to do this mission. In this case, we are with the Polish. The Irish are in command, and we're supported by the Polish. So there's a Polish Lieutenant Colonel here, and there's over 200 Polish troops with us here. You know?
Wow!
And between them, they have Hungarian troops, and in our section of the camp, we have Maltese troops serving with us. You know, so there's over 500 soldiers here altogether. You know,
it's 500. So you've got 500, over 500 altogether on the camp at the minute.
Yeah, correct.
Wow, it's a big operation.
Yeah. Busy in the logistics role. Everyone is kept busy here in their respective roles in order for the camp to function. The camp is like a mini town or village, for want of a better word. We have to create our own. Our water is drawn in. The camp has to be powered by generators to keep electricity going in it. Lads to go out and draw water in. Water is purified here. We create our own drinking water. So the cooks obviously have to cook meals 3 times a day for 500 people. Everyone here that's here has earned the right to be here, and they will earn the medal that they get for being here. You know?
Absolutely. Your history of trips overseas is fairly impressive, Stan. I have to say, 18 trips overseas, and not just in Lebanon. You've been all around the world. You said to me earlier on, join the army, see the world, which I love that. I think it's a good sort of a way to explain and describe it. You took that to a whole new level, because I know I was looking at some of your trips here, East Timor, Afghanistan, Bosnia, Kosovo, to name but a few. But the Swedish Nordic Battle Group, I love this, and you were telling me a little bit about this earlier on, where you traveled to the Arctic Circle and did some exercises.
Yeah, that's a battle group partnership that Ireland go into every couple of years with different partner nations. I mean, there was a recent one there with Germans and Austrians. Yeah. In that particular one, I was with 2007, 2008. We were partnered with the Nordic Battle Group, which was primarily Nordic countries. It was led by Sweden, but you had Norwegian troops in it, Estonian troops in it, Finnish troops in it. And of course, Irish troops in it. And my job there was I went over as a sergeant major working in what was known as the planning section. So I spent the months of a year living in Sweden on that mission. And during that, we did a number of different exercises. One of which was held above in the Arctic Circle. So which was an experience in itself, to especially at this time of year when you can see the northern lights and you're very close to them, especially up in that part.
It's amazing, yeah, it is. Like, I mean, and to be there is fairly spectacular in itself. What I know it's a general question, but I wanted to actually ask all of you this. But what's the climate in South Lebanon like at the moment? How is the weather there at the minute?
We've been lucky so far in that it's fairly dry enough the last couple of days. But like the last time I was here, it very bad. We get very heavy, and I mean torrential downpours. And once the rain starts, it comes down fairly thick and heavy. Now, that said, it does have a very proper climate, in the sense that it gets its winter and it gets its summer. During the summer, it's glorious out here. But during the winter, the farmers and the locals very much depend on it raining heavily, because as Andrew and the lads will tell you, when you go through the villages here, they're dependent on large water holes, which are currently dry, and they're very worried at the moment that they're hoping that the rain will come soon, so that those water holes can fill up, so that they can be guaranteed water for their sustenance
for the coming months. We mentioned earlier on, I know when I was chatting to you earlier on about your involvement with the locals there, because it's a huge thing. It's, you know, and I've done a little bit of reading about it and stuff like that. But the involvement outside of the camp, like, do you find that it's difficult to not be able to be involved with them as much this time around? Is that a tough thing to have, kind of not be able to get involved in?
It is, of course, because we do have a CIMIC team here. They're our team here that liaises directly with the local, and we still engage with them. It's just that we have to be conscious of the current way COVID has it. But we are striving to deal with it and cope with it and do things within a certain manner within it. But at the same time, get out and about and do what we can for the local community, you know. And that's how we push that out to what we call the CIMIC team, you know. And this and the commanders here will occasionally then will meet with key leaders within the community groups in order for us to be. We have 5-6 villages or more within our particular areas of all different, primarily Shia Muslim villages, but there are Christian villages within our responsibility as well. And it's important for our commanders to get out and meet with the local leaders, see what their needs are, if we can help them in any particular way, and we'll also talk to them and explain to them that we will be patrolling through their villages, and that we're here to assist them in what we can, but primarily to assist the government of Lebanon and the Lebanese armed forces, which is primarily our partners in the mission.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's a long-lasting mission, isn't it, Stan? Like, it's a long time that we've had involvement out there, and I know we spoke earlier on about moves and changes with the camp and whatever, but Camp Shamrock is still the official name. Would that be right?
Yeah, we'll still refer to this as Camp Shamrock, this particular camp. But as I said, it's the third Camp Shamrock, really, you know.
Yeah.
The those that may see this video clip will know that the original Camp Shamrock would have been in the village of Tibneen. The village, the closest village where we are now for their purposes is Atiri, which an awful lot of Irish soldiers would be very familiar with the village of Atiri.
And I don't want to get too much into anything too operation or anything like that, but we did speak earlier on, and I was fascinated by your explanation of the blue line. Just for anybody that's watching that's not familiar with the operations and stuff, I find it very interesting myself. Like the blue line, what is that exactly, Stan, and what's the purpose of it?
Well, operationally, we have approximately 30 operational activities here every day. Those patrols go out around the clock here. And it doesn't matter whether it's Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. We will have soldiers out 24 hours around the clock here. And primarily their job is the patrolling of the blue line. We have a platoon, actually a Limerick Sergeant Angela Almer. She's a very famous character from Limerick. She's the platoon sergeant out on the blue line there at the moment. But she has a platoon out there there's 30 people, primarily from Limerick, actually, the platoon that is out there at the moment. From there and from here, we patrol the blue line. And the blue line is an agreed line of withdrawal between Israel and Lebanon, because in fact, Lebanon and Israel are still in a state of war. But they agreed that they would withdraw, and Israel have withdrawn, and Lebanon have accepted that this blue line that is marked by blue barrel markers, each country agree where a marker would be placed. They send in their geo teams, and they agree that a blue barrel can be put in this spot. And there's a series of blue barrels every couple of hundred meters along that blue line. And that indicates to both Lebanese forces and Israeli forces where it is. It's a clear, distinct, visible marker. And our job here is to patrol that blue line. And we have troops. We have what's known as we have troops on both sides, in that we have a liaison branch team that work out of the headquarters in the Cora, and they're on the Israeli side, and we have troops on this side, and they make sure that the line effectively is not breached by either side.
Either side, yeah. And I suppose the importance is that's your safe spot as such, that you should be able to maneuver up and down along. I mean, that's the idea really of it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting because it's just for a lot of people back home or whatever, and we're all familiar with our army and where they go and what they do, but it's lovely to get an explanation of the exact what it is, what the blue line is, and what it's all about. Stan, I'm going to have to get into a little bit of your background in Limerick because I think it's very important. I know that you have a lot of interest, but your rugby interest, you were telling me earlier on. Could you explain a little bit about that to us?
Well, I'm involved with Young Munsters, and I have been fortunate enough to be involved in Young Munsters for many years, and I'm a life member of Young Munsters. My son David and Jamie, both sons actually played for Young Munsters, and David played all the way through up to senior level. And in actual fact, he's still playing rugby. He's now playing with Presentation. So brilliant. I have a great affinity to Young Munsters. My father-in-law, God rest him, Joe Heaney, was a staunch Young Munsters man, and we used to regularly go to matches together out there, So I have a long-standing involvement with Young Munsters.
Brilliant. Being from Garryowen, Stan, as well. I mean, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Being from Garryowen would make you, of course, being from Garryowen would make you more staunch Munsters or Shannon for that matter. Garryowen were always great rivals of Young Munsters over the years, and Shannon
That's
for
true.
that matter.
Yeah. Richmond's now either.
Richmond are local.
And, you were telling me earlier on as well. You were telling me earlier on, Stan, about your annual ticket for the hurling. That you've no doubt, just for any family members that are watching in, that it will get used and it will be used anyway. Until you return.
I have some staunch. My sister-in-laws, my wife will travel. I've no doubt this time, and my nieces are avid hurling fans, and they're only waiting and eager to get going again this year.
Brilliant. I think it is going to be another golden year for Limerick myself. It's looking good anyway. I think we have a few years in us yet, for sure. What part? So, are you originally Garryowen from the get-go, Stan, or have you lived anywhere else?
Well, I lived down in the how would I say, the Irish town. If you're familiar with the centre of Limerick market. Yeah. Market is my dad had a shop there, a butcher shop down there for many years. For the first 9 years of my life, I lived there.
Brilliant.
My mother was still living there. Bernadette is still living in Force in St. John's Avenue. They're just off Mulberry,
Yeah. So lovely part of the town. Yeah.
I myself, I'm living in Garryowen.
Yeah. Which is, of your 18 trips, Stan, and I know, I suppose some of them may have been during COVID, but are you finding this trip in particular just I suppose a little different to most of your previous ones?
Well, no, I was with Andrew. Andrew was with me there in Syria there in 2019. So we were the first unit that deployed overseas. The main difference in the COVID scenario for us is that there's no leave. Now that's very hard. That's very hard on troops because normally we're able to give guys a break in midway through the trip, and they get home for a couple of weeks to de-stress and meet their family and try and get to family celebrations.
Yeah.
We can't.
And that's gone. That's gone. Yeah, that's gone. So that has to be tough. That has to be very tough.
That is a major thing. But to be fair to the troops concerned, that once you know before you go, and your families know, which is very important all the way through, that your family is involved in this, and they know that you can't get leave, at least it makes it a small bit easier than when you come. And of course, the advent of the modern era now that you're sitting in Castle Connell and we're sitting here in Lebanon and we can see each other is sure. Like,
it's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. It is brilliant.
And so on, that makes it all a bit closer, so which is great.
Yeah, it does. I think it's super. I think it's fantastic. I've been doing this show now for over a year, and when I got the idea to do what we're doing right now, I thought, isn't it amazing that we can do this on any level, anywhere in the world? It's fantastic. If I could ask you, Stan, just before we finish up, what would your advice be to anybody that may be watching in that might be thinking, I wouldn't mind having a career in the army for younger people now? Would you say it is still a very good choice and a good career to be interested in?
Well, I would never. As the fellow says, I think someone a lot more famous than me said, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
True.
I'm 42 years not working at this stage.
Yeah. But that's one way of putting it. That is definitely one way of putting it. But it is like, would it be fair to say it's a way of life, though, isn't it? It's not just a job. And I'll put that out to all of you. Like,
I would certainly recommend it. They, as I said to you earlier, there's a Defence Forces. There's a commission sitting on the whole structure of the Defence Forces currently and going into the future. So a lot of us that are near retirement and a lot of people that are potentially joining, and a lot of people that are in that have their time served are waiting anxiously to see what will come with this, because that really will determine whether or not people will join in the future or not. Because the contracts of people, like recently the minister put through a thing through the Dáil for lads to stay on until they were 50, provided they can meet fitness test requirements and medical requirements. So all of those things are positives, because what people need now is concrete knowledge of how long they'll be able to join. Likewise, if young people are beginning to get their feet under themselves and try to get a mortgage and all that. In my time, when I joined, and fellas that trained with me are still there, I'm glad to say. And when we retired, when we joined, we were guaranteed, provided we met our fitness levels, to stay until we were 60. And that now it's up to 50, which at least my point is that people should need that definite timelines so that they can plan, and then they can develop their careers once they're in. And that's it. But the whole thing has to be properly resourced. The whole thing has to be properly structured in order for it to work. If it's not, well, then I'm afraid it won't, and we won't keep people. I had to say that every day we're losing quality people, you know.
Yeah, I know, and I spoke to you earlier on about the army evolving and stuff, and as you said to me rightly so earlier on, that if we don't evolve, we'll fall behind simply very, very quickly. So it is important, isn't it, for the army as a whole to be constantly watching that and making sure diversity, everything that's in the army at the minute it's growing at a good rate. Everything is moving along. It's a different. Being from County Kildare myself and being quite familiar with the army from a young age. I never served, lads, before anybody asked me. I didn't get involved, but I am involved through music and different things with the Cora camp. And I see a lot going on up there, and I'm familiar with the way things are moving. And it's great to see the modernization even, and the way it's moving, and everything is becoming so diverse, which I think is very interesting to watch. Stan, before you go, it's very important. I better not forget. Would like you to give a shout out to everybody and anybody that you wish to say hello to now while we have you, if that's okay.
I mentioned my mother there already, but my brothers and sisters, and of course my wife, and of course not too far away from you there, my son and, or sorry, should I say, my son and daughter-in-law live in Hurley, but their children family go to creche in Castle Connell there. So
do they?
And Sam actually is involved in a hand. He's starting off there in a hand playing GAA, you know, which is great to see.
Brilliant.
Both hurling and football. He hasn't decided yet whether he's going to take up the hurl or the football, but I'm sure he'll persevere and he'll come good on one of them. And my other granddaughter is actually Ella is overseas at the moment. She's at home in Brazil with her mum on holidays to visit her grandparents on that side of the world. So David is at home, her dad with Anne, you know. So I wish all of them a very happy new year. And as I said I mentioned earlier there, the travelling party that I go to all the matches with Jackie, Mary and Sarah and Donna, and of course we'll be going on the ticket there now, hopefully, that I look forward to going to all the Limerick hurling matches that I will be home for. And I'm quite happy to be and content to stay here and let the hurlers tip away, and I will join them for the final or semi-finals and finals.
Come on, Limerick.
Hi, Limerick. Brilliant, lads. Brilliant. It has been an absolute honour and a privilege, and I have to, of course, give a major shout out to and a thank you to the press office as well, Rena and Rishtard, who made this possible too, and we're all involved before we all met up here, and of course Alan there with you as well, who operated the camera. Fair play to him. I'm sure he might be still in the room there. Thank you so much for all that, and I know it's a tricky thing to get going, but once you're up and running, it's great fun, and it was an honour for me personally to have met you all this evening. Until you get home, lads, I wish you all the best, and that you're safe and well, And I would like to say on a personal level, I would like to thank you for what you're doing out there, because I think it's an amazing job and it's a big responsibility, and it's not easy by any standards, but you make it look easy the way you talk about it. And I think that takes a lot of conditioning to be that way. So thanks very much for me anyway, and everybody watching for joining us this evening. It's given us a whole different insight into how things work out there and in general within the Defence Forces. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Dave, to you and all your listeners and all your subscribers.
Thank you so much, Stan, and everybody there. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Take care. Mind yourselves.
Bye. Bye.
So there you have it, lads. That was a unique, very different Friday Night Live to anything that I've done this year. It's been super to have the chance to beam directly into the office there on Camp Shamrock in South Lebanon and talk to the guys. It's just been wonderful also to have a broad spectrum of serving members there from different backgrounds and different ranks, and get the explanation as to how life runs while overseas on a day-to-day basis. I hope you enjoyed that. I personally enjoyed that very, very much. It was wonderful to get the chance to talk to the lads. Now, for something a little bit different before we do wrap up this evening, I was thinking about, I suppose, the Defence Forces in general and making this that sort of a program. And there is something I wanted to kind of add in, I suppose, myself, was to talk a little bit about the Cora camp, where I'm based myself, teaching music and teaching drums on a regular basis. And I wanted to include a little segment into the end of the show about growing up in the Cora camp, which is a wonderful video that was released by the Cora Family Resource Centre on the camp. Now, the Cora Family Resource Centre, just to give you a quick insight into it, I suppose from what I know about it, because I'm there on a regular basis, it's the only family resource centre that is on a military base in the country. There is nothing else like it. It's very, very original, very unique place to work in. And I love going up there all the time. I just love, I don't know what it is. There's something about driving into the base and just all the activity, and the soldiers are out and about and they're doing their thing. And some are on exercises, some are going for food. But the buzz in it is fantastic during the day, and I love it. So I wanted to give a little segment towards the end of the show to the Cora Family Resource Centre, because I think it's a fabulous place. And they made a wonderful video, and it's up on YouTube and on their YouTube channel, and you'll find it on their website as well. And it's about growing up in the Cora. And they give a little insight from some guests from the military about what their life was growing up as residents on the camp, Cora camp itself, and their sort of childhood experiences and up to date where they are now. So I'm going to run that for you first, and then we'll have a little quick roundup after that. Thank you so much, boys and girls, like Gabe Byrne here. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you've enjoyed that last interview. I thought it was fabulous myself, to be honest. So here we go. I'm going to just go and get straight into the video. Enjoy this, lads. This is called Growing Up in the Cora.
Hearing the Rangers running every morning at about 7 in the morning. This would have been in the late 60s, early 70s, and you'd hear them singing. And then every now and again, there'd be various courses or units marched. They'd be marching up and down the camp. And then, of course, the band, which was beside us. And everybody in the school wanted to march behind that band.
Well, I remember a scheme of defence has been called. I must have been only about 7 or 8 years of age. I'm walking out the front door, and all you could see is all these men with guns and helmets lying up in ditches, or they were on their singars. They might be doing singar training even times around it, and you'd be going over, what are you doing? What are you doing? And your father would be, get away, get away.
The massive thing that I remember from the camp was just the community. Like, everybody knew everybody, and even to this day when I meet others around Kildare, Newbridge, whatever, that have retired or gone on, or even families, and some of the great families that are still living here in the camp, the parents are still living here in the camp. But there's not one set thing I could remember or I think of that sets out. It's just, there's many things, and that was the one thing. It was just the massive community spirit. It was just a fantastic place to live.
Well, for me, what stands out is my father served overseas in the early 80s to Lebanon, and I can remember him coming home and we going into the Cora to meet him, and the joy of just seeing him after not seeing him for so long, and the joy in the faces of people that were meeting all their own families. It was just a really special place at that time, and a great memory.
I went to school in the Cora, and I remember if we'd go to mass for any of the parades, or if there was a big mass, and my dad would always be there, usually with obviously his unit, and I always just remember being so proud and delighted with myself that I was saying to my friends, like, that's my daddy there, and he'd be in his uniform. And I used to just love that I could tell my friends about, like, my dad, my grandfather, and all my family being in the army. I was always just so proud of that and of being from the Cora.
We did look out for each other. We did make sure that there was this ethos of respect. It was camaraderie. And I suppose as I look back now and bring my own children here, and I walk from one end of the camp, my dad was a cavalryman, so that was Plunkett, and we'd often walk down, and the memories that I'm trying to impart to my children, they look back and say, that must have been an unbelievable place you grew up in. And in reflection, it was an unbelievable place.
It's the biggest playground you could ever have, and from the Defence Force side or the Army side of it, it's the biggest training camp you could have too. Like, you have ample areas. I know when I was in different units, they were looking for having to go out, drive everywhere to training grounds, whether it's ranges or whatever. Here in the camp, you have everything. It's fantastic, absolutely everything.
It was like being, you'd make up little stories. It was like you were in the jungle and you thought you were great. Like, it was just, there was so much to do there, and it was so fun for our kids. Like, even now, they still go out and it's still fun.
My mum herself served as a sister here in the military hospital, and that's where she met my dad, and as a result they settled in Newbridge, and that's where the connection starts. But I like to consider it as one of the biggest playgrounds in Ireland because of the wide open spaces that encourages you to get out, to get walking, to do various activities that are around the place. So it really is just a special place, and I think as you get older you really appreciate how special it is.
It was a proper community. It's a fantastic place to live. Going home from school at Pierce, I was living in at the time, would have been running up through the cadet school underneath the verandas, like, praying to God no one would let a roar at you, because they could be all out on the square marching, or you'd hear them roaring and shouting, but unlike any other place you could have ever grown up like. And everyone looked after each other. Everyone knew each other. Leave your key in the door. It was a fantastic place to grow up.
So there you have it, lads. What a fantastic insight into the Cora camp as a place to be and a place to grow up. It's quite a unique story. I love that video, I have to say. It really is very, very well put together. It's called Growing Up in the Cora, and it was put together for the family, by the Family Resource Centre in the Cora. It's a unique thing. I just wanted to finish up the show with that this evening, I suppose, because there's something wonderful about being involved. I've been lucky enough to be a music tutor up there during the last couple of years, and I would like to send a very special Happy New Year and hello out to all my friends up there who are involved in the centre, and also to all of the kids that we teach drums to, which is what I do mainly up there. But the chance to do that and to be a part of that community, and it's just wonderful. It really is a wonderful thing to work at and to be involved in for me personally. And also St. Bridget's Pipe Band, I must give a big shout out to up there as well, in and around the Cora. Philip and Tony Coy, of course, being the two members that would jump out straight away, but also to all the members of the pipe band. We work closely with them as well, and they're a fabulous pipe band, fabulous band, and they've been very good at collaborating and mentoring children from around the Cora camp and surrounding areas, and being involved with the centre and being involved with us musically as well. And it is quite a unique idea that a project that we run up there, where the kids are learning percussion and drums, and it's also something that you would like to see develop into that. Maybe they could feed into playing in the pipe band itself, and also the army band, which is a very important part of our defence forces as well. So who knows what opportunities lay ahead for all of the children that are involved with us there. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. There's been great projects there with the men's group and the women's group, who are the older generation, but we've had some great projects there where we've made CDs, had poetry and songs written, and all great projects to be involved in. And if you're ever up and around the Cora camp, look it up, the Family Resource Centre. Check it out. It's a really, really wonderful place to visit and to find out about. And you can check out all the projects that were done there as well. So lads, that is it for me. That's the early show for New Year's Eve. It's been special, it's been unique, and it's the second last show of Friday Night Live for 2021, because I will be back on air live at 10 p.m. For the usual show tonight, where I am absolutely delighted to be speaking to, as it's pronounced online, he's LKN, but it's Lacken. And he is a poet and an author and a lot of other things, and a very, very interesting guy. A very accomplished poet as well around the world globally, but he will be joining me from Manila in the Philippines. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a little look back through the year by using videos, music videos from many of the guests that have appeared on Friday Night Live from its beginnings almost a year ago. And we just have a look and a listen to music and have a little chat in between. I may even take the guitar out and play a song or two myself, just to go right back to the old days, just for fun. And on top of that, then at 12 o'clock, we'll count down the new year together. I put it out during the week, as opposed to if any of you, and I mean any of you as the viewers, supporters of Friday Night Live, and you are the best, you are, that have been here all along. If any of you would like to join Friday Night Live for one time only, just before midnight, I will throw out the opportunity once more. And all you have to do is send a message to me either on Facebook through Messenger, because you know me, you know where I am, you know how to find me. Is just let me know, or during the show when it's live, there's a comment section at the box there. Just put your comment in to say, hey Dave, I would love to join you before 12 o'clock, or yes, please include me. And what I'll do is I'll send you a broadcast link, which brings you straight into the studio here and brings you in with me, and we can split the screen. And as far as I know, we can get up to 10 people on the screen. So wouldn't it be great crack if we could do that just before midnight, to get 9 or 10 of you in from your house to my house, and we'll all count it down, and we'll raise a glass and count in the new year together. I would personally love to do that later on. I don't know whether anybody will come and join me in the studio. A lot of people may be nervous about doing that, but if there's anybody out there that thinks, you know what, I think I'd love to do that this evening, just for a minute or two, and we'll all join together and have a bit of crack. So think about that and let me know during the next show, which will be going live at 10 o'clock sharp. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's the countdown to the end of 2021. And what a year it's been. What a show this has turned out to be. What a wonderful experience. All of the people that I have met during the journey of Friday Night Live, both as guests and collaborators and curators, and also you, the viewers. I have gotten to know so many people. And after this evening, having had the opportunity to broadcast to South Lebanon and to meet the soldiers there, has been just wonderful. It's a whole new experience for me, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to everybody out there. And to all of the family members of the soldiers that we spoke to there, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the opportunity to see your loved ones on screen, and wishing you a happy new year as well. And I would like to personally wish you a happy new year from Friday Night Live as family members of our guests that were on the show there from South Lebanon, and also to everybody involved in the Defence Forces, be it in Lebanon, Ireland, Mali, Kosovo, anywhere around wherever you are around the world, home or abroad. I would like to wish you all a very, very happy new year, and to your family and friends and everybody involved. It has been a wonderful experience to be just a little bit involved in the workings of the Defence Forces out there this evening. So that's it, guys. I will see you all again here at 10 p.m. for the very last show of Friday Night Live. And it's going to be wonderful. We're going to count down into 2022 together. For now, peace, love, stay safe, mind yourselves, and I will talk to you again in a couple of hours' time. Take care, everybody. Good night, and see you again soon.